Hey everyone, it's Sarah, and today I am back with a subscriber requested video. So somebody asked me, they had seen another creator do like a nostalgic perfumes video, and they asked if I would do one. I have done a video like this before. I think I named it like my perfume journey or something. It's been a few years ago now though, so it's definitely time for an updated one. This is by no means an exhaustive list. I have so many fragrances in my collection that I would even, in fact, if you look right over there, I didn't include Marc Jacobs Decadence, but I would say that Marc Jacobs Decadence was the fragrance that got me back into fragrance after a few years of being kind of on a hiatus because I just wasn't impressed with anything. But that fragrance, it reignited the passion back in 2014 when it came out. But anyways, I've got a ton here. I'm gonna try to keep this in chronological order the best I can. I've got a ton of fragrances here. So I'm gonna go through them kind of quickly and I'll just explain to you why they're nostalgic smelling for me, and how they impacted my life, really. So let's start with the fragrance that started everything for me when I was like 5 years old. And that's not an exaggeration. This is an original bottle of Dior Poison from 1986. I still wear this bottle. This bottle still smells incredible. It is perfection. This bottle is almost 40 years old. This bottle of perfume is almost as old as me. I was like 6, 7 years old when this came out, or when this bottle was made. And this perfume is still perfect. I got my bottle on eBay. I got very, very lucky with the seller who knew how it had been stored and had it in the listing that it had been stored properly its entire life. And when I got it, I knew that it had, because it is perfect. I can still wear this as like a perfume to this day, almost 40 years later. But anyways, this is the one I'm probably gonna spend the most time on because this fragrance is the most nostalgic smelling fragrance, it really in my life. I remember being like 5 or 6 years old when my mom started wearing this. Now, granted, she had worn a lot of other fragrances. She would wear Estee Lauder Cinnabar, like at Christmas time in the winter. She had YSL Rive Gauche. She had Tender Poison as well as regular Poison. She had a lot of really amazing fragrances, but this is the one that I, as a child, loved. I remember she had like a walk-in closet. And she had this big jewelry box, like this big wooden jewelry box that she just had on the floor in her bedroom. And she had all of her perfumes on top because she stored them in, the cool, dark closet, which was great. But anyways, as a child, I remember, getting into her closet, being under all of her dresses, sitting there, going through her jewelry box, like looking at all of her jewelry, spraying on this perfume. Back then the liquid was purplish. So in my little mind, I thought it smelled like grape juice. It looked like grape juice. I absolutely love this fragrance. This is the perfume that made me fall in love with fragrance, and the longest, my first memory of perfume, really. I absolutely adore this. It is one of my most cherished bottles in my collection. So anyways, that is Dior Poison. This is an eau de toilette. They had the Esprit. I think my mom just had the eau de toilette, if I remember correctly. I don't think she had the Esprit de Parfum or whatever it was. I'm pretty sure it was just the eau de toilette, which this thing performs like an eau de parfum or even an extrait by today's standards. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this in chronological order. This would have come in the 90s, I think. Okay, one of my first, I forgot one. Okay, there are 4 fragrances that I remember, well, 5 really, but there's one that I cannot get. It's like impossible to find, which is Malibu Musk. that used to come in a spray can. I've searched high and low for it. You can find like dupe oils of it, but I'm scared to buy a dupe oil of it because I don't feel like I remember the smell of it enough to know if the dupe oil would be, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so Malibu Musk, I used to wear. These are fragrances that I wore between, I would say like, I don't know, the age of 7 and maybe like 11. So for like 5 years of my actual little childhood. Malibu Musk, Debbie Gibson Electric Youth, which I bought or I asked for as a gift or whatever as soon as it came out. That was like my favorite scent. I also wore, and I can't find Electric Youth either for a decent price. You can find it, but it's very, very expensive. And if I felt like I could get a bottle that still smelled decent, I would fork out the money, but I don't want to spend that kind of money on something that is most likely off. Anyways, so they do still make Coty Exclamation. This is like my childhood in a bottle. I always had a bottle of Exclamation. I loved this scent. It still smells amazing to this day. I don't wear this one. I just keep it in my collection for nostalgic purposes, but I do love it. I was in love with Charlie White. This is a bottle of the original formulation, like from the 80s/90s. It is completely off. I can still smell it as long as I don't spray it, if that makes sense. If I spray it, it smells off, but what is trapped in the sprayer smells like Charlie White. I always loved this because it was kind of like a sweet, clean scent, and it was always my favorite Charlie. So yeah, those were two that I absolutely adored. And then the third one that I wore about the same time, and this is like, it's like new Kids on the Block in a bottle to me. Because I'm pretty sure I wore the first concert I ever went to, I think I was 11, was New Kids on the Block. And I either wore this one or another one that we're going to talk about, but this is the Perfumers Workshop Samba. This is the new formulation. I do have a mini of the original formulation. I love them both. This is another one that's just kind of like a perfumey, like a fruity, perfumey floral scent. It's really beautiful. I think this still smells incredible, and I would still wear this perfume to this day. I think it still smells amazing. So yeah, those are scents from my childhood from the 80s. Now, so after this next scent came out, I kind of forgot all about all of those other scents, and that is this one here, Tribute. I wore this fragrance probably, I don't know how many bottles of this I went through. Gosh, I'm obsessed with this. Even to this day, I will still wear this. It still smells incredible. It is still so unique and such magic. Yeah, it's been reformulated. It's been produced under a different, it's not United Colors of Benetton anymore. It's like United and Prestige Beauty or something. I don't even care. It still smells amazing. Brings me back to my childhood. This might have been what I wore to the New Kids on the Block concert when I was 11, which was my first concert in the Kingdom, which is no more, in Seattle. They blew it up. Oh, but this is like my childhood in a bottle too. I absolutely love this. This still smells amazing to this day. This is one that I could definitely recommend picking up because it's so beautiful. It's unique. It smells amazing, and I just love it. It was a huge part of my life. So anyways, that is, it was United Colors of Benetton Tribute. It's like Prestige Beauty or something now. Okay, my mom actually wore this fragrance in the early 90s. This is a drugstore fragrance called Le Fleur. It's also by Coty. Yeah, by Coty. This bottle is completely off. But again, if I spray it, it smells off. But if I just let it be, whatever is trapped in the nozzle, I can still smell it. This is a really, really beautiful floral. I loved this. I didn't wear it often. Sometimes I would steal a spritz or two of hers. This one smells, or it did back then, it smelled a little bit too mature for me. I loved it on her though. And I would wear it every once in a while. It's a beauty. It's an original, this is an original bottle, and Yeah, I love it. Another perfume that is nostalgic for me that I didn't pull because I didn't wear it was Calvin Klein Escape for Women. I will wear that now, but that came out when I was in 6th grade and literally everybody wore it. If you were a boy, you wore the boys. If you were a girl, you wore the girls, and everybody smelled like Calvin Klein Escape. Another one that is very, very nostalgic, but I didn't wear it because it was too popular is Calvin Klein CK1. That came out when I was like, I think a junior in high school. And I love it. I will wear it now, but I would not wear it then. So I didn't pull it for this video. Okay, so this fragrance came out when I was in middle school, and actually I didn't wear the perfume, but I did use the hair care, the Revlon hair care called Outrageous, which smelled like Fire and Ice perfume. This is a vintage bottle from the 90s. This still smells incredible. This has not gone off. This smells as fresh as it did when it was made, probably. I love this. I will wear this still to this day. It smells so good on me. I'm obsessed with this. If you remember the smell of the Outrageous shampoo, that's exactly what this perfume smells like. I don't know about the reformulation. I think I've heard that the reformulation is good. But yeah, I have this one and I can wear this one. So, and if you guys didn't see, I posted a short a couple weeks ago talking about how you can still order Revlon Outrageous shampoo, but you have to get it from like a website that ships from Europe, which I don't know if like the tariff situation will affect that, but there are people that are ordering that shampoo. There are different colored ones though, and they said you have to get the red one. So if you're interested in Outrageous shampoo, it's out there. Okay, still in middle school, I started wearing Elizabeth Arden Sunflowers. This became like a signature for me for probably like a year. I would have signatures for like a year at a time in my middle school and high school years. So after I stopped wearing Tribute, this is what I started wearing was Sunflowers. I loved the way that this smelled. This is kind of like an aquatic floral. It's a really kind of strange smelling scent. But I love this. My beautiful friend Jacqueline sent this bottle over to me and I'm obsessed with it. I will still wear this to this day. I still think it smells incredible and I am obsessed with it. So there's that one. Okay, moving on into high school. So one of the first fragrances that I started wearing, like after I wore Sunflowers, is Davidoff Cool Water. I started wearing this, I think like my sophomore year in high school. And I loved this. This was my signature. This is what I smelled like. I adored this fragrance. And then after I wore that, I wore Ralph Lauren Polo Sport. Sorry, somebody's dog is barking. This is another one. This bottle is off. I paid a fortune for this, but I had to have it because just for the nostalgia of it. Again, the fragrance, like the actual juice is off, but I can still smell like whatever's in the sprayer still smells perfect. Oh my gosh, I love this. This is another like weird kind of fresh, spiky, aquatic smelling scent that I loved back then for some reason. I think because I was in dark rain all the time, that something about these aquatic scents, like, I don't know, did something to my brain chemistry. But yeah, I loved these. So I wore this my senior year of high school. Okay, and then a couple other fragrances from like my high school years that I didn't wear because too many other people wore them, but they are very nostalgic smelling for me. Muglare Angel. This, my beautiful friend Tatiana sent this original bottle. This is from I always forget, I want to say it's from 92 or 94. This bottle is incredible. It is still perfect. It still smells, I mean, it's as fresh as it was probably the day it was manufactured. It is perfection. I am obsessed with Angel now because I can be, because I've never been one of those people that can wear a fragrance that a ton of other people are wearing. Like I'm just weird like that. So the fact that it's like, 30 years later, And nobody's wearing this anymore except for a few of us fragrance lovers. I am obsessed with this, and this is one of the most, this is the 90s in a bottle. This is what the 90s smelled like, hands down. Like, if I had to choose a perfume to embody the decade of the 90s, it would be Muglare Angel. So yeah, this is nostalgic, but I didn't wear it back then. Another one that I remember from high school that I wear now but would not wear back then is this one here. This is Elizabeth Arden True Love. I remember there was this girl that was a year ahead of me in high school, and she was dating one of the like best looking guys in school, which was weird because she was kind of like the quiet type, and he was kind of like, I don't know, he was kind of like, he was popular, but he wasn't popular like in a jock way. It's hard to explain, but anyway, she wore this fragrance. She started wearing it as soon as it came out, and we rode the same bus. And I will never forget, she smelled like this all of the time, and I loved the way that this smelled, but I would have never worn it because she wore it. But yeah, this is like a beautiful powdery floral. This is one of my most favorite bedtime scents of all time now. So that is Elizabeth Arden True Love. And then another one, this is an absolutely iconic 80s scent that is so nostalgic to me. This is Givenchy Amarige. This is what all the popular girls wore when I was in high school. This was what all of the cheerleaders wore. So I would have never worn it back then, but this is incredibly nostalgic smelling to me. I love this. I mean, it's an icon. It's an absolute icon. So that is Givenchy Amarige. And then another one, I had a friend who wore this, and her whole car smelled like this because we were doing things that we shouldn't have been doing back then, and we would have to cover it up with perfume. And so we would go out at lunch, or we would go out after school or whatever, and she would drive, and she always brought her perfume along so that she could spray it. And this is the perfume that she wore. This is Coty Vanilla Fields. And I am obsessed with how this perfume smells. This is another one that is just so, it like does something to my brain chemistry when I smell it, because it's so nostalgic smelling. And I always loved how this smelled, and it smelled incredible on her. Her bedroom smelled like this, like everything smelled like this, because this was such a monster. This is an original bottle too from the 90s. So yeah, it's... Oh, memories. Yeah. So that is Coty Vanilla Fields. Okay. And then right after I graduated high school, I started wearing Tommy Girl. So I love this. This came out in like 99, I think, which is when I wore it. I wore this until, I pretty much wore Tommy Girl until I started wearing Stella. Like in 2003, I think is when Stella came out. And so I wore this from like 1999 to like 2003. I went through bottles and bottles of Tommy Girl. I just loved how this smelled. This was one of those fragrances that like a lot of people were wearing, but because I wasn't in school around people anymore, it just didn't, it wasn't the same. I didn't feel like I smelled like everybody else. I love Tommy Girl though. I think this is still an incredible fragrance to this day. This is an original bottle and it's off, so I do need to pick up a new bottle at some point, because this is one that I would love to start to wear again. Another one, this came out when I was in high school as well. This is Elizabeth Arden Green Tea, and though I never wore this because it was too expensive back then, I loved this. This was one that I would spray on myself. Like anytime I went into a department store, I would pick up green tea and spray it on me because I loved it. It's just, this is another just classic, iconic scent. I still wear this to this day. I adore this scent. I think that this is a masterpiece. I mean, 100% a masterpiece tea perfume. So that is Elizabeth Arden Green Tea. Okay. And then we get to, let's see. Actually, I think I started wearing, oh no, I know. Okay, next, this is a fragrance that I wore. No, I never wore this. So I started working at a department store in 1999. It was called the Bon Marché in the Silverdale Mall. which is close to where I grew up. And I worked there for 6 months in between living in California and Washington State. And this is the fragrance that was literally everywhere. Like the entire department store smelled like this fragrance. This and Lancome Poem. But one of the girls that I worked with, she worked in the men's department. She wore Poem, so I would never wear it because, again, I was around people, and because of that, I wouldn't wear fragrances that they wore. This is one that it was too popular for me to wear back then, but the smell of this, oh my gosh, this is one of the most nostalgic smells to me of all time. This like reminds me of Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey and that song that they sang together. I think it was like on a movie soundtrack. I can't completely remember. Came out in 1998 or 1999. But they, in the juniors department in the department store that I worked in, they blasted that music video on the TVs in there like over and over and over again. So I heard it a bazillion times, and so I associate that song with this fragrance. Oh my gosh, I love this. It reminds me of the movie The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. So many memories associated with it. Sorry, this is DKNY Women. This is a bottle of the original formulation as well, which I adore. It's such a beautiful like tomato leaf fragrance. Also in the late 90s, my first kind of real serious relationship boyfriend, his mom wore Izumiyaki. This is another one that just smells like the 90s to me. I always absolutely adored this fragrance, but this was another one that was really popular. And because of that, I wouldn't wear this. But I will rock the heck out of this today. I love Izumiyaki. This is one of my favorite hot weather scents. I wear it all summer long, all spring and summer. I love this. It's like a sweet aquatic floral, stunning, masterpiece, iconic. Okay, moving into the 2000s. So in the very early 2000s, I started wearing Lolita Lempicka. This was another one of those fragrances that was just like everywhere when it came out. Everybody was wearing it. I loved it. This was a super like really different smelling fragrance to me. It took me a few years before I could buy a bottle of this because it was expensive. I remember when this came out in like Nordstrom, which was like a high-end department store. And it was just too expensive for me. So I couldn't really afford it, but I eventually found a bottle of it at TJ Maxx and I bought it and I started wearing it back then. And I've had it in my collection since. It is a very nostalgic smell to me, and it's just another iconic fragrance. I love this one. Right about the same time, I also discovered Aqualina Pink Sugar. To me, this was the first real kind of like gourmand scent that I ever wore. I picked up a bottle from Sephora. I loved this. I loved how sugary, sweet, and youthful it smelled. Very different from anything that I had ever worn before. And I will always have a bottle of Pink Sugar in my collection because I am still obsessed with it to this day. Then I found Stella. As soon as this released, I bought a bottle of it. I have been through, I couldn't tell you how many bottles of Stella because I've worn this on and off since it released, and I'm pretty sure it was 2003. It was like the year after I was still living with my mom. I know that. It was like the year after I moved out to South Carolina. I'm obsessed with it. It's peony, rose, citrus, amber, perfection, masterpiece rose scent. This is probably my favorite perfume of all time and my longest worn perfume ever. Okay, and then that was a super like serious kind of mature scent for me, which I was super into at that time. I was in my early 20s. So when Britney Spears released Fantasy, which I think was in like 2005, I immediately picked up a bottle of it. Again, it was kind of like Pink Sugar, where I just wanted something fun and youthful. I was just wanting to smell more youthful. And this smells like a kiwi cupcake. And I was here for it. So I picked up a bottle of Fantasy. I didn't wear it like exclusively. I wore this, every once in a while. Okay, and then also right around that time, if you guys were around in like the early to mid 2000s, you will remember DKNY Be Delicious. Sephora smelled like this for at least a year solid. Like you would walk into a mall and this is all you would smell, because every department store, Sephora, like everywhere just smelled like Be Delicious. I loved it. It was like the first kind of apple forward perfume, or the first fragrance that was marketed as like an apple fragrance, which I do think it's an apple fragrance, but it's not like a typical apple. It's very, very heavy and very, very perfumey. It's like a very heavy, perfumey apple floral scent. I am obsessed with it. I still wear Be Delicious to this day. I wear Golden Delicious the most because that's my favorite. I think Be Delicious, but I adore the original. I think that this is an iconic fragrance and I will always have it in my collection. Okay, and then after I went through that phase, I picked up my first bottle of Dior Hypnotic Poison, which was in like 2007-ish. And I wore this really until around the time I met my husband in 2010. So Hypnotic Poison was kind of a signature again. I hadn't had a signature in a long time, but when I met Hypnotic Poison, I fell in love with it. And I wore this. This reminds me of my old obsession with Muse and going to Muse concerts because this is what I smelled like. And I love it. It also reminds me of the time that I met my husband, which was in 2010, which we got married in 2011, and we will be celebrating 14 years this month, which is crazy. I also wore this scent when I met him, which is Escada Moon Sparkle. I picked up a bottle at TJ Maxx. I still absolutely adore this fragrance to this day. This is like a really fruity but very heavy fragrance. This is a bottle that a subscriber sent to me, and oh, I am so grateful to have it in my collection. I do have the La Rive dupe of it as well, which is a really, really good dupe of it, but there's nothing like the original. And yeah, this reminds me of when I met my husband, because this is likely what I was wearing the night that I met him. So that is Escada Moon Sparkle. And I think that that is it. No, that's not it. I'm gonna end with the only other fragrance that really, I can't say, except for Marc Jacobs Decadence, which is the fragrance that really, really sparked my perfume passion again back in 2014. That's probably the last fragrance I would say that like really ignites something in me. But this is the fragrance that was my wedding day fragrance, and I love this. This is Gucci Guilty Porefam, and I still love this to this day. This is a really light, pretty, kind of floral patchouli scent. This did me very dirty on my wedding day. It wore off before I even got married. But I love this, and I had it in the original like gold, like squarish oval bottle. I just have this little 1/2 ounce bottle now, and I love this. This actually performs way better on me now than it ever did back then. So yeah, I love it. I keep it just because it was my wedding scent, and yeah, I actually really, really enjoy it. And last time I wore this, which I think was like last spring or something, maybe last summer, it performed really well on me. So yeah, I would say that this is probably the last scent that I consider kind of like nostalgic smelling for me, because it was my wedding day scent. And that is going to be it, guys. That is, again, by no means an exhaustive list. I have so many other nostalgic fragrances in my collection, but these are like the heavy hitter nostalgic perfumes that just mean everything to me. These are the fragrances that like change my brain chemistry when I smell them, because they bring back floods of memories or just different seasons in my life. But I would love to hear what your favorite nostalgic scents are and how they affect you. I do hope that you all enjoyed this. If you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.